Hey everybody, welcome back to the Temple Daily Telegram Sports Podcast. How's everybody been?
Been good.
Oh, really?
Well, relatively.
Yeah.
Relatively.
Been tired.
Yeah, man oh man.
It seems like 2020's been like taking 3 years out of our lives.
What a year it has been. What a few months it has been since we last did a podcast.
Months, that's it? If
Yeah.
It feels longer.
Remember in December, like last December, we were
right.
like, all right, we'll see everybody later. All right, cool.
That definitely feels like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Remember when we had live sports to cover?
Yeah. We're back doing that a little bit with some volleyball. But we are happy to announce that so far it looks like the 2020 football season, is about to get underway this
right.
week
Ooh.
with a full slate of games around the area. Can you believe it? I can't. There's a lot going on.
I'm really just day by day at this point.
Pandemic. We got a hurricane barreling into our neighbors
Yes.
in South Texas. We have civil unrest, all sorts of things going on. And here we are. We're about to talk some high school football. That's nice, right?
It's different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's normal, but it feels so different this year.
I know.
It's like,
And when we've talked to coaches the last few weeks, I mean, that's what they say. I mean, there's
a whole new
excitement, but it's just there's so much, even anxiety still going into this. But here's some of the good stuff right here. Thursday, the new high school in West Temple in Belton ISD, Lake Belton, is playing its first football game. They're going to be at the Stephenville JV. So that's pretty cool for those Broncos and the fans.
Pretty cool for them getting to open up their inaugural season with a game over at Tarleton's Memorial Stadium. So pretty cool venue to get things rolling for a lot of those guys.
Yeah. Also on tap, all non-district, obviously, coming in week 1. Gatesville is at Llano, Gerald at Burnett. A nice one here at UMHB, Salado versus Troy.
That's a little normal. Taste of
Yeah,
normalcy.
yeah, and as is this next one here, a nice little rivalry game people are used to in this first week of the football season. Academy is at Rogers, so that'll be a good one. Cameron Yo is at Mejia. Rockdale is at LaGrange. Bruce Valetti is at Millsap. Burton at Holland. Rosebud Lot at Jewett Leon. Bartlett at Hubbard. Axel at Granger. And Buckholz at Cherokee. Did I mess something up already?
did you skip over Moody? Did you say Moody?
Can't forget about
Moody at
man.
Hamilton. I don't know if I I haven't read since March either,
I mean,
since we've been on lockdown. So
It just went in one ear out the other.
Yeah. So those are the games on tap this week.
Supposedly.
You're right. Yeah, so far, as we sit here talking into tiny microphone. This is like and we're socially distanced, by the way.
Yes.
People can't see us. We've maximized the length of these 2 microphone attachments that we have.
We're really stretching the limits of our technology here. So
Yeah, we really are.
anything for the fans.
Well, as we've actually, I'd like to say hopefully the readers have picked up the papers on Saturday and Sunday over the last few weeks to read our team previews. I know it's been a little bit different. We don't have the big special sections that we normally do, but times are a bit tough. However, we still put out these cool stories on the teams we have in the area. So hopefully everyone's picked those up over the last couple weeks, Saturday and Sunday editions of the Temple Daily Telegram. And as we put those together, I mean, some of the storylines, obviously, going into the season is keeping everyone healthy. I don't know about you guys, but, the coaches I talk to, they have so much more responsibility. I mean, their plates were already full to begin with, and now they got to, make sure they hammer home the fact that everyone's got to follow these protocols when they leave the field, when they go back home, when they're with their friends. I mean, it's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, first of all, to all the athletic directors and head coaches out there, even the assistant coaches that are doing this, I mean, my hat's off to you, because we haven't had a lot of reports statewide.
Oh, good stuff. Week 1, technical issues. Marcus, please continue. You were saying
I don't know.
Kudos to the athletic directors and the head coaches.
The coaches, we talked to some of them who just say, it's it's kind of stressful for them. And they're not going to lie. Some of them were like, if this is, I talked to a couple who basically said, if this is the way it's going to be from here on out the next few years, you're not going to know how many coaches are going to be still coaching, how many teachers are going to be teaching, just because the teachers have to do extra stuff. Some of them, with all this Zoom stuff that teachers aren't used to, like my dad's a teacher, he has been for years, and it's just kind of frustrating for him to have to learn how to Zoom and get all this technology down, because some of them have to go to the school, set up in person, set up online. I know we're supposed to be talking about football, but the whole thing, it carries over because your coaches are teachers as well. And then they have to come out and keep their athletes safe. But yeah, these coaches say they're sanitizing stuff every day and making sure the kids wear masks when they're not in drills, when they're on break, things like that. Keeping them socially distanced. I don't know how you can do that on a football field at all times.
The biggest adjustment, it seems, is keeping the players hydrated, because you can't have these communal watering stations.
Yeah, it's all different
that they
now.
used to have. You got to bring your own water bottles, and then those have to be filled in a certain way, and you can't share them with anybody else. It's and being out here in Texas in the heat during 2 days, it's that water is important. So all those things to think about. And speaking of things to think about, I didn't even think about introducing who the heck we were at the beginning of this.
If you don't know by now.
Yeah, but this is Josh, and there's Daniel over there, and Marcus was just talking. He was the one who was rudely interrupted by my terrible phone and its technical problems. And also, if you're wondering, Temple and Belton High School.
Yeah, what about those guys?
I didn't read over them or anything like that. The Wildcats and the Tigers don't play their first regular season games, or aren't scheduled to play their first regular season games until September 25th.
Get a little bit of an extended vacation there.
Yeah, well, they have been working out.
Yeah, they're ready to go.
And all this. But, the UIL, announced this kind of staggered start to the football season back in July, pushing the 5A and 6A start dates to the end of September. So that's been going on as well. Anyway, back to some discussion. I don't know if there are any teams that kind of intrigue you this year going into this. It's hard to tell week one when things have been wild to begin with. But I guess we can start with Troy. That team made the deepest run of our area teams last year. As far as right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they got all-state running back Zach Grabacek back.
He's going to be back. They got you talked to Porter and some of those guys over there for the story. Don't they have like a lot of their offensive line, which is their bread and butter pretty much? So they're gonna challenge for another district crown. That they want to do another long playoff run. So I think they lost a few guys to graduation, but as long as you got number 21 Herbacek back there running behind that experienced offensive line, they should be more than cooking.
Holland made a deep run too. They were the same round. Yeah, regional finals, state quarterfinals, whichever you prefer. But
Holland's lost a lot more than Troy, but Brad Talbert's going to get his boys ready. They might struggle early on. I think when we were talking to them, they're going to have some new looks on offense, do some different things. But they still have some talent out there. But I didn't want to go from Troy to Holland right away.
Oh, we're jumping around. It's week one. We're trying to iron things out. Marcus, don't worry about it.
Troy will probably, like you said, Daniel, they'll probably make a run for another district title. They're aiming, I think they have their eyes on a bigger picture than just a district title this year.
Right.
And, it could very well happen. It'll be interesting to see. This will be the first year Herbacek's been in an offense that's not run by Chris Lancaster, who was the offensive coordinator, who's now, at Academy, so the head coach there. So that'll be an interesting matchup in a few weeks when those two go at it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how the old coach wants to handle his used-to-be stud athlete.
Right.
Yeah, and Troy's opponent this week, Salado, would jump back to that matchup. The Eagles return actually quite a bit. Might surprise some people as far as how many guys they have back from last year's area finalist, including a pair of running backs, Reed Vincent and Rook Brown. For that slot T offense.
Yeah, I hear they like to run the ball a lot in Salado. So
that's still going to happen. The pandemic didn't change their approach as far as the offense goes. But Salato's got an incredible non-district schedule. Starting with Troy, and they play Grandview, which has won 2 straight 3A Division I state championships. They play the Stephenville varsity team. Taylor's on there too.
Yeah.
And one other one, it's escaping me right now, but and then they go into a district with a few different teams, including Gerald, which has moved up to 4A Division II. China Springs in that district.
Yeah.
Robinson. So
everything else going on, we forget that this was a realignment.
I know. I know. Way back in February when everything was hunky dory.
Hunky dory for 2020.
For the most part. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and talking about Troy wanting to win another district title. I mean, they still have Rockdale to contend with, and Cameron Yo and Academy, but now they got Lorena and Caldwell, two previously 4A Division II teams that are now in 3A Division I.
Yeah, you got McGregor, which
McGregor's back in there. Yeah,
they kind of go back and forth with McGregor being in their district and not, but
yeah.
That. And we spent the last 2 years before this talking about how 10-3A1 was one of the toughest districts in the state for 3A, and we'll say the same thing. This time it's going to be 11-3A1. So I mean, different title, but you got the same power programs in there. So it's going to be a gauntlet. It's going to be a battle every single week. I think every coach that we've talked to over there, they said the same thing the past few years. They say the same thing now. It's going to be a challenge, and there's no off weeks.
Right. Well, that's actually true when you get into district. I think some teams have like an off week getting to district, but then that last week of district is an actual idle week for everybody, just to make sure, if one team has, an outbreak or something, there's flexibility within the schedule.
Gives you the option.
Yeah, a lot of the districts kind of, when everything started falling apart, a lot of them actually went and kind of restructured their schedules that way because, a lot of the coaches spent some of the summer just scheduling and rescheduling teams because you don't know. Some counties put in a mandate that said your teams can't play, and they came back and said your teams can play, and some coaches already rescheduled games. So it was just kind of best for the districts to kind of do that because, you don't know what's going to happen, and hopefully you don't have to be making up games that final week. But.
Yeah. Couple teams we've already mentioned who are kind of trying to continue momentum of previously successful seasons. Troy, Rogers is another one, had a great year last year. Yo, Rockdale, Holland. The one we didn't mention yet was Bruceville Eddy. Had a kind of a historic season out that way last year, hoping to kind of build off that. Again, we have some rebuilding teams, or at least teams trying to get back on track. Gatesville's one of those. Gerald is kind of hinted toward getting back on track, so we'll see what the Cougars do moving up a division in the classification. Moody's another one, has a new coach, Lonnie Judd. Rosebud Lott has a new coach out there trying to get back on track, Coach Hicks. Bartlett, a second year under Brian Cosma, looking to get rolling again after back-to-back 0-10 seasons. Buckholz has another new coach, Kyle Hawk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we got it.
And that's in the six-man ranks. Yeah, so a lot of new coaches, a lot of teams trying to get back to winning ways after some down seasons. So a lot of storylines going on on the field, which is nice to talk about as opposed to everything that's been going on off the field. The other teams actually I will bring up that won't be starting yet in TAPS, Central Texas Christian and Holy Trinity Catholic also aren't starting quite yet. They'll be the third week of September when their first games roll around.
Kind of that same schedule as the 5A and 6A schools.
Yeah, I think they get to start 1 week earlier, I believe, or right around the same time. But anyway, it's delayed a little bit there for TAPS. So hopefully things can progress. A lot of these teams in our area have done a really good job of, kind of controlling the spread. We haven't seen many outbreaks in our area, knock on wood. Once you start playing teams from other areas and this and that, it could get dicey. But, the hope is there.
I mean, they've really
pan out.
Yeah, I mean, like Marcus kind of touched on, the ADs and the head coaches have really done their best to make sure everything goes according to plan. And I'm sure our readers have heard about all of the new protocols just from the fan standpoint of these fields and these stadiums
50% capacity,
only allowing 50% capacity. A lot of these high schools have a new way of issuing tickets out. No longer, you can't just show up at the gate and hope to get in. You got to get your ticket ahead of time. Social distance, wear your mask. I mean, all that good stuff. I mean, we've talked about it so long, and it's bled into so many different aspects of life that really, it's just how it is. It's just the new normal. I know some people don't like that term, but that's kind of just the base of it is.
Yeah, I mean the student athletes need to play.
Yeah.
And if this is the way that we can help them play by doing these little things, then that's what we have to do, because we saw firsthand kind of the how big of a bummer it was for those seniors last year in the spring to not have any season whatsoever in a bunch of different sports, and on the collegiate level, I mean, we've had seasons canceled, fall seasons this year, so
no UHB football.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not until spring, and that's a half a season basically. Right. But we are back, which is the good thing.
We are back,
and we hope to be back for a week 2.
And we will cover the games we can. Even we don't get a free pass. We're like everyone else. We got to kind of try to see which stadiums we can get into. Hopefully, we can get into all the games that we'd like to cover. But we will do our best, and might be taking advantage of some of those broadcast and live streams.
The live streams that are allowed this year.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're learning just like everybody else.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you go to a game, like Daniel said, it's one of these years where you're not just going to be able to show up, and it's going to be a bummer for a lot of people, because I know, like, on those rare weekends that I had like a Saturday off, if I knew there might be a high school game somewhere, I'd be on the road. I'd just go to it and walk up, buy a ticket just to watch some football that I don't have to cover, because every once in a while that's just nice to not have to cover a game. But
just be a fan.
Yeah, but yeah, if you're going to go to a game, check with the school that you want to go watch, because you might not be allowed in. It's going to be a shock to some people this year.
Yep.
That's for sure. And it's going to be an adjustment, but we're going to get through it.
That's it.
I hope.
Plan ahead.
Yep. And with that, welcome to the 2020 football season.
Hey.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yep.
All right, let's start this podcast.
Oh,
wait.
Oh, that wasn't the intro? Oh, man.
Let's end this podcast.
Let's end this podcast. Thanks for listening.
See you next week.
Bye.